Okay, people, guess who came? Guess who else came? It's another cat. What are you doing? Huh? Are you coming for a little mo? It's just sitting up. It's just sitting down there. Are you Sky? Sky? Are you? No, because you're not Sky. Sky's not that puffy. Okay, well. Maybe you can say no. Yeah, there we go. See, not bad. And now it's coming up. Okay, people. Guess who came back in? It's Wonder that's back in now.
Not even trying to get out.
Yeah, it does not want to come outside. It wants some ham. Right now?
Whatever's frying.
This cat just wants some meat that's frying on the stove. It just wants some human food.
Yeah.
It's not want cat food. It wants human food.
As soon as I started frying, that cat came out.
And it's just waiting here now.
By the stove. That's too funny.
Like, yeah. We will show you. That's what it wants.
Huh?
Oh, I was just showing them what you're frying there.
Well, what I wanted, but I can't find the barbecue sauce.
I saw it. I think I saw it downstairs. Well, that's it. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Bye.
Okay, so I was supposed to do this yesterday. Yesterday I was putting on these lids. This part. Oh boy, oh boy. Maybe I gave myself some blisters here. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe in there. I don't know. You have to push. It requires really a man to do it, right? There was one bucket I couldn't do. My son's going to have to try and do it for me. But outside of that, we've got our 2 gallons here. I think I bought 5 more of them. So we're going to work on deciding what we want inside of those. And then, now I've never used Mylar bags. I don't personally like them for whatever reason, but a lot of people use them. I understand the theory behind it. So basically, Shelly, let me just put this here. I'm going to talk to you today, okay? We're going to use you as that sounding board, okay? In terms of, I'm just not talking randomly into a camera here. Because, now, you don't have to do this with the things that I sent you, right? Because what you got is just the beginning of, I would like to think, more things to come. In terms of, you're going to have to self-empower yourself and find a way. Okay? And I know that you have an extended family that is showing an interest in what's coming in the mail. And I'm sure once they see you when those boxes get, and just think, Shelley, you can tell them, this came from the west coast of Canada. People, I didn't know Shelley's on the east coast. This stuff is traveling 3,000 miles to get to her. I don't know. I think it's about 3 boxes. It's 106 pounds of food in terms of weight, right? Which, you know, Canadian dollars, it wasn't a lot of money. I mean, sorry. In Canadian dollar, for 106 pounds of what is being delivered to her on the East Coast, right? In Massachusetts, really isn't a lot of weight. But when it comes in, it's a really good feeling, because it is. In terms of what you get. And you calculate in your head how far it can go, versus going into the grocery store and just buying, like, oh, for example, what can I find here? Oh my Lord. Okay, for example, and I'm not going to rush with this video, people, because, you know, I'm just not. But I'm gonna label it, now I'm a doomsday prepper. I was having some issues with Andre, and my son, sometimes he hears, right? Because, you know, Andre can get argumentative. And so anyway, my son came up, and, you know, he's being a mediator and, you know, trying to get Andre to realize things and take personal responsibility. And then, you know, he piped in and he says, well, I know Nana, you know, she's a doomsday prepper, listening to her doomsday videos, and, you know, and I'm like, oh, now I'm a doomsday prepper. Okay. Far from it. Although, you know, maybe if I was a middle class household with the mindset that I've had all these years, I could very well have became a doomsday quote-unquote prepper, because some people, they go to the extreme and they spend 100,000, 150, 200,000 on their prepping, okay? I didn't do that, only because, you know, I'm below that. I'm basically in the, you know, income level of being impoverished. So, you know, I did what I could do, but I've been doing it for a long time, so it got stretched out over the years. And now what's happening here is I'm just topping off what I have and then backtracking, and probably going to open up some of my old, like, I'm going to take these buckets here, okay, what we got. I know I'm flipping, but I'm feeling really kind of woozy, right, with these eye drops, and just, you know, I was supposed to fill up these bags yesterday, but, you know, I don't know, I'm just burning out here. But anyway, I'm burning out with prepping, basically, and I'm, you know, the eyes, and, you know, and just whatever. Okay, so besides that point, today I have a bit of energy, and I'm going to work on filling up these Mylar bags, and I'm going to talk about it in this video. But before I get into that, I just want to touch base on, so you go to the grocery store, Shelly, okay? And you buy, what is this? Maple and brown sugar. I guess this is like an oatmeal cereal. We'll just say, okay, oatmeal, right? You buy a little box of oatmeal. Or maybe even a, you know, a small bag, okay? Right? And you pay, I don't know how much you pay, but when it comes in a box, in 25-pound bags, it's completely different. Especially if you work towards buying multiples. In other words, you asked me, because I wanted to send you the oat groat, which I have one bag here for myself. In the whole form, minus the husk part that's unedible. They take that off and they give you the whole form. Now, apparently, and I'm going to get myself a flaker, apparently you can go off and get yourself a little hand crank. It's called a flaker, or you can get an electric one, which is more expensive, and you can run your oats or anything like grain of sorts through that flaker, and it flakes it into a rolled oat, okay? So, because you asked me, because I wanted to send you, what was it, 22 pounds, 25 pounds of the oat groats, because you can't store instant rolled oats long term, okay? You just can't. You can do the large oats, flaked, large oats, the ones that takes about 25 minutes to cook or whatever. You can store those ones long term, right? I don't know about regular oats per se, because you want the large ones. Or the next step up would be in the actual kernel, right? And I'm trying to get you to think long term versus short term, right? Because as a general population, since growing up ourselves, you know, we've always thought about short term. Okay? But that short term puts us in that grocery line at whatever store with our $200 maximum for groceries, finding ourselves being manipulated where 2 years ago, we'll say this costed $4, but now it's costing $7. But it doesn't stop with just this. It goes on to every other product in the store. So by the time you spend your $200, you're only walking out with 2 or 3 bags, and you get less than what you got 2 years ago. And that's the trend that we're on. So more reason just to cut to the chase and start going for that bulk food and finding a way to store it. But when you're on a limited income and, you know, you're scared, frustrated, you know, just whatever, in debt, just whatever, you know, other things around you are going, like rent is going up higher, hydro is going up higher, gas is just whatever. The last thing you're thinking about is digging into your pocket and forking out X amount of dollars so that you can get a few boxes coming in the mail at 25 pounds a bag. But once you start adding on to those bags, it's like those canning jars. You start canning 1 ham, 3 jars. Oh, you get another ham, 3 more jars. Oh, there's another ham on discount, right? Oh, well, before you know it, you have a whole case of canned ham. It might take you a few months to do it because you're looking for those deals, but sooner or later you're going to get it, and then you put it away, and you just, you know, disperse it in within your meals as you go about your day and feed your family, and that's how you build in food security. You're never going to build it in this way. This is what I'm trying to tell you, okay? That's why I did what I did for you, is to show you just, you know, because when you come and everybody is like, it'll feel like Christmas for you. Everybody's standing around looking, well, they're going to, you know, and what's inside the box? We want to see. You open up that box and then you get a big bag like this, Shelley. This is what I wanted to order you. Okay? You see? That's heavy. Alright? That's the whole growth. Oh. That will last a long time. But you're not familiar with it any more than I am. And you wanted to feed your family now, which I understand. So you said, well, you know, rolled oats. So I switched it over to rolled oats, got you 25 pounds of rolled oats. And then I just got you, what was it, a 10-pound bag or something, I think, coming with that. So you can experiment with that. But I want you to know that you can get yourself a flaker. They're like $160, but that's Canadian, right? Or no, that's American. Because you look online, right? You can maybe get from Amazon too as well, right? I just whatever. You can pick them up for $100 anywhere between $100 to $600 you can pick up a flaker. So you can budget that in, right? And then the rolled oats that you're getting now, for sure, eat them. But you have to replenish it. Before you think about replenishing it through this way, in smaller portions, you might want to do it in larger portions. And then once you get that initial start, you've got 25 pounds of this, 25 pounds of that, 25 pounds, 25 pounds, 50 pounds, 50 pounds. The next time you go off to buy the same product, quote unquote, that is when you start doing stuff like this. Okay? It's an ongoing process. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And then, of course, you rotate as you go along, right? But you're going to have to find a way. Whether you partner up with your other family members, everybody chips in $50, right? You know, and then before you know it, you can go off and buy another 4 more boxes of something, depending on how many people are chipping in. And then you divvy it up between yourselves, okay? If you can't do it for yourself, by yourself, you partner up with your mom, you know, you partner up with your godfather and the brother, and then, you know, so, and right, and then before you know it, you're putting in your $500, $600, $700 orders coming in. And then that's when it's going to really build in that food security. So that no matter what's going on in the grocery store, assuming that you could even find it in the grocery store, you see, that's the thing. Because, you know, our governments are creating food deserts throughout the country. And many of those deserts are located in particular geographical areas that specifically target those below a certain income level. So it's like you have to be one step ahead of the game and go outside of the box. And even if it means ordering from the west coast of Canada, well, the United States, the west coast of the United States, right? Like I did for you. When I ordered that, people, I didn't even know she was on the East Coast. So this gift is traveling a very, very, very long way. But you know what? It kind of makes sense, though, because, like I said, I'm passing on that, I don't know what it is, you know, in terms of prosperity to the people of the United States, for the ones that want to help themselves and aren't afraid to go out of their way to fill up bags. Right? I have a lot of shit I gotta fill up here. And make that initial investment. Now, you don't have to start off with these buckets and Mylar bags and all this stuff, because I sure in the heck didn't, okay? I'm only doing this now because I've got so much that whatever is coming in you, you know, is going to be put away basically for a fairly long time. And I want to make sure that it's fresh when my son opens it for me. Okay? In terms of, see that bucket? Go get it for me. And he'll grab it out. We'll be greasing. Okay? And the reason of the Mylar bag is kind of threefold, I think. It's one, it helps to keep moisture out. Okay, that's a big one. Light is another one. And then when you seal the bag, you put in these oxygen absorbers. Boy, oh boy. I don't even know where they are. I already lost them. Look at that. Wait, here they are. I've got other ones kicking around too. Right? These oxygen absorbers are mainly to prevent bugs from breeding, because they can't breathe, and also to prevent mold from growing, because, or fungus or mildew, and those, well, you know, right? It's because it can't breathe. So this is the true Doomsday prepper food storage technique. So I guess I've graduated. Maybe. So I do plan on using oxygen absorbers after I fill up these bags. One will be with red hard wheat. I got 44 pounds, and these are 6-gallon buckets, because I find 5-gallon buckets are too small with these bags coming in, because I've already got some stuff downstairs. One will be soft white wheat in a 6-gallon bucket. And then we've got, I'm going to do rye, right, in a 6-gallon bucket. And then I've got the whole groats, which I just ordered another bag to fill up one bucket. And then at some point I'll order another bucket for just kicking around, right? Because I only have 22 pounds or whatever this is of the whole groat, the whole oat groat. but it's because I never even knew it existed. But I like the idea that it's in a whole kernel, because the more you can keep it in a kernel, the longer it will last. Okay? Especially if you put it in a container that's really nicely sealed and out of the light. Okay? You don't have to use the Mylar bags. But I'm at the end of my game. You see, that's the thing when it comes to this stuff. So the new stuff coming in, I definitely want to make that effort so I can get an A on my report card that I passed the test, right? And if you know, you want to call me a doomsday prepper, well then I'll do it in a doomsday kind of way, right? So, but I don't plan on doing this for any length of time other than what I'm doing with the top up. But because, oh God, but because I have things downstairs in buckets that aren't in Mylar bags or don't have necessarily oxygen absorbers or whatever, after I'm all said and done and I go downstairs to rearrange and organize and do all that, I do have extra Mylar bags, right? And I do have other oxygen absorbers that, you know, that's where I'll backtrack and will probably go out of my way to put stuff in a bag and oxygen absorber and, you know, and maybe make them like this size. Oh boy, see, I get dizzy. This size is a 2-gallon 2-gallon Mylar bag. Looks like it's a Ziploc, which is good. And then when you want to seal it, all you really have to do, right, is, you know, those flat irons for women use for their hair. You can just come along and pinch that if you wanted to. Or you could leave it like that, and then, you know, depending on what you're using, right? And then, because I am topping off, I got myself a Wonder Mill, right? This little thing that I bought, it will, you know. So apparently, I got a Wonder Mill. It was the middle of the line when it came to food mills, and it has attachments. So I'm trying to get the attachments, and then, you know, that's the one I'm going to use for a while in terms of like the bigger bulk of the grinding of the wheat or whatever, right? Because I don't got time to be dickering around with this little thing, but this little thing could be used for other things, right? And yeah, so I mean, I'm just topping off here, right? So you're gonna have to go towards figuring out how you're gonna get yourself a food mill. So maybe you can't afford it right now, but you can start shopping around. And again, you know, you might want to partner up with your mom, and you know, you guys go half and half on it, and you can get yourself a nice food mill in the next couple of 2-3 months. As you start ordering wheat, Shelley, you have to start getting these big bags of wheat, because with just the way the world is going, that's how you build in the food security no matter what's falling down around you, okay? Even if it's just a little bit, okay? And I'm not talking a little bit like this. I'm talking about maybe 3 bags at 25 pounds a bag or 44 pounds a bag of wheat, with half of that, 3/4 of it tucked away somewhere as you use it on a daily basis, assuming that you eat wheat, okay? I went, like I said, to save on foods, right? And I don't know, I bought bread there, and I bought these round flat things, and like they sat out on, and they weren't even in like these little flatbreads, you know, right? Bought it from the grocery store. It, you know, it sat out on the counter because it was in with the rest of the bread. And like not even within 3 or 4 days, it was already molding. It became raccoon food. Like, that's pathetic. So how much did I pay for that? $5, $6? Just chuck it out. You know, no. You'd be better off to grab a cup of wheat, grind it, and make your own flatbread. Okay? Because in this way, you're not going to have any wastage or come into contact with bread molding too fast as you're purchasing it from stores. Okay? Because we're being hit as a general population. You know, I'm hearing of, and I see it myself here in Canada and in British Columbia, Canada. Oftentimes you go off and buy vegetables, they're spoiling faster than they used to, or you're buying bread, they're molding faster than they used to, right? I mean, meat is a hit and miss. You just, whatever it is, what it is. But either or, like, the more you can cut back on that in terms of what would you prefer, going to the grocery store, buying some bread at $4 or $5 a loaf, if not more, depending on what you're buying, right? Have it home on the counter for 2 or 3 days, go back thinking you can have a slice, and finding out that it's already molded. Can't eat molded bread. That will really make you sick, okay? Can, you know, depending on the mold, it could kill you too, because the mold will travel through the bread. So once it starts molding, get rid of it. Don't even attempt to eat it. Even if you can put it in a toaster, just don't do it, right? Or what's, you know, grab a cup of wheat and grind it up and make your own flatbread fresh, to which it will have better nutrients all in all throughout the whole thing, okay? And you can make it a family project too, in terms of once you know what you're doing, you get the kids involved in it. You know, it's kind of like playtime, right? Make a play date with wheat, right? So anyway, these ones are 2-gallon with a Ziploc, which are kind of nice, and they're really cheap. I was surprised as to, like, something like this costed me maybe $1.97 per bag, or $1.37 or whatever. Like these Mylar bags, they're not that expensive. I guess it depends on where you're ordering from. And then I've got, because I bought the food mill, I've got that coming in the mail, and I picked up, I think, 10 more 5 to 6 gallon Mylar bags with the Ziploc, and I think 10 1-gallon, so it'd be half of this with the Ziploc, right? Whether you use oxygen absorbers or not, it doesn't matter, right? You know, it depends on how you're going to store it for how long, right? So, and how quickly you're going to go and grab a bag. As you know, I mean, some things in your daily staple, you're going to go through faster than other things. I would highly recommend, I gave you that website, Shelley, and I'll put the website address to where I buy these buckets. And I would highly recommend that you do purchase something similar. It doesn't have to be from this website. But these ones with the gamma lids, because they're easy to take off, put back on, right? Okay? For your daily staples, for the ones that you're using all the time, every day. Well, not every day, but, you know, weekly, right? So you could have 1 bucket of chickpeas, it's 2 gallons. So that's nice, right? You can have 1 bucket of hard red wheat, 1 bucket of soft white wheat, okay? So you have to budget that in, okay? It's going to take you a little while. It might take you a year or 2, okay? Or 3, or whatever, depending on what you want. But you have to do it, because if you don't do it, you're going to be at the mercy of this kind of stuff, to which there's no guarantee that it's going to be there, because the manufacturing companies are not even capable of keeping up with the cost of the packaging when the packaging, you know, is small, right? Right? So that's where you get that shrink inflation, where the amount of what they're selling you becomes less because they're trying to compensate for the packaging, the cost of the packaging. So, right, spending, we'll just say $12 for 10 2-gallon Mylar bags, and whatnot, is, you know, for your own packaging, as you, because you asked me what to store this stuff in. Well, you have a choice depending on what it is. Sometimes I like jars, sometimes I like buckets, right? You know what I'm saying? And in this situation, because I already have wheat in the house, yes, I'm going to attempt to use these Mylar bags, because these ones are going in the back while the other ones are coming in the front. And as the other buckets are coming into the front, I'm going to open them up, look at them, make sure there's no bugs in them, because they're not in Mylar bags. And if they look fine, then with any surplus Mylar bags that I have left, then yeah, I will fill them up, put them back in the bucket, in the Mylar bags, depending on, it doesn't matter if it's 1 gallon, 2 gallon, or a 5 gallon bucket. Close the lid, put it back, put it on the bucket, what it is, and then you're good to go, right? If I come across a bucket full of rice, or no, a bucket full of wheat that's came in with bugs, because I never opened it, right? But it had its own bugs in it, which I highly doubt, but it can happen, right? Then, I have several choices. I can go out into my yard and sprinkle it around and start growing my own wheat, which I might. I can use it as bird food, which might end up being bird food if I sprinkle it thinking I can grow it. The birds will just come and eat it all. So, whatever. Or I could give it to somebody that has chickens and they can feed their chickens with it. Right? Or I can throw it into my compost bucket. It is what it is. But I highly doubt I'll find any buckets with bugs in them. But as I put these ones away, I am going to pull out other ones and I'm going to open them up and I'm going to take a boo, because I have a few extra of these, and then that's when I'll use them to, waste not, want not, right? Because I don't want to order too much more. There's a couple of more things that I do want to order. I do want to order Northern Great Beans, which I tried to do last night, but I was having issues, so I'm going to have to get up on the phone and see what the hell's going on with that. But anyway, Northern Great Beans, you can make bean burgers with, and they're a bean that apparently absorbs the flavor of the food that you're actually cooking it in, kind of like a tofu. So, it doesn't give off its own taste. It just melts in with whatever it is. It's a good staple. Let's just say it like that. And you can still find them. You see, that's the thing. You have to remember, people, I've been doing this for a long, long time. Several years now. And some of the things that I used to find, I can't find anymore. Or the cost has gone up quite a bit. Like, quite a bit. Okay? Quite a bit. So I'm glad I did what I did. So Shelley, you got a year to do this, okay? With your family to offset whatever's coming over the next year in terms of 2024, 2025. Okay, you're in that time machine. Okay, just pretend you're in a time machine and you're going through time ahead, and you got to look around you and you have to prepare for that. Then you get back in your time machine and you go back into reality and you work towards it. Okay? So, basically, that is the reasoning behind why I'm using now, after all these years, Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers as to compared to what I haven't been doing, right? Because these bags are new. I'm still trying to decide. Now, I have mung beans in 1 gallon jars. All over the place. Right? I also have, what is this? I also have rye in paper bags, vacuum sealed with plastic from a vacuum sealer, as well as I have rye in buckets, but without Mylar bags. Whereas this rye is going into the Mylar bag, and I think I have another bag here, so this will fill up the whole bucket, do you see? And then I will seal it with an oxygen absorber, and this is the bucket that goes further to the back, whereas the bucket downstairs, where I have rye in it like this, I will open it up and I'll probably put them into smaller Mylar bags, like the 1 gallon, right? Some will be sealed, and then just throw them in the bucket so that when these buckets are running out, I can just grab a 1 gallon at a time, pour them in, and I'm good to go. As well as I'm pretty sure I have rye in paper bags that have been vacuum sealed. Okay? I ordered another bag of this because I want 1 full bucket in a Mylar bag sealed, and then I'm going to order 2 more for my go-to in between. So 1 long term, and then 2 more at some point as a top off to use in one of these, more on a daily basis, not including the flake oats that I already have. And then I got chickpeas, and I got the hard red wheat, 44 pounds, soft white wheat, 44 pounds. So those are going in buckets today for long term. And I found a place where I can order hard white wheat, which is completely different. Apparently you want it, okay? You want to get hard white wheat because the difference between hard white wheat and soft white wheat is hard white wheat is almost equal and comparable to hard red wheat, which is like a whole wheat, okay? With the hard white wheat, the outside bran, when you grind it, isn't like a whole wheat, but it has the same nutrients as a whole wheat. Therefore, bakers like to use it with bread because of 1, of color, 2, because of the nutrients, and it just reacts well to bread making. Whereas soft white wheat, yes, you get a white flour, but it doesn't retain the same amount of nutrients as the hard white wheat. You'll learn, Shelley, okay? You'll learn. But what you want, at least for now, for basics, is the soft white wheat, hard red wheat, hard white wheat, and spelt. Spelt is easy to digest more than any other wheat. The only thing is, now I'm not no wheat expert, we're learning together here, but it doesn't have a very, it doesn't rise as much, right? So you only use it like a third to everything else that you're putting in when it comes to wheat, okay? Because otherwise you're just going to get a really flat bread. And you want rye. If you eat bread, you want rye. Because rye is good for sourdough, okay? And you can sprout it, you can grind it, and there's lots of things that you can do a lot of things with wheat kernels. And the thing about that is, even if you don't have them in a Mylar bag, as long as they don't get molded because they're in a too moist place, or they get moisture, right? As long as it's in a cool, dark place, they'll last for years. You're talking 25, 30, 40 years, right? Because it's all locked in. So if you're looking for rice, don't buy brown rice, okay? Unless you're going to eat it within the year, or 6 months or whatever it is, because for long term it won't work. But you can get that black Thai rice, just, with the husk on it. Something like that will last for years and years and years. Trust me, I know, because I have it in my house. It's been sitting in a jar forever. You cook it and it's delicious, okay? Because the husk preserves the germ on the inside, right? So you got to look for things like that, okay? White rice, well, yeah, you can put it in a Mylar, long term, whatever. It depends on where you live and, what you're subject to in terms of, moths and cupboard bugs, and like if you live in an apartment block, right, cupboard bugs go from cupboard to cupboard to cupboard, from apartment to apartment to apartment, just like a bed bug. You know, apartments that get infested with bed bugs, you know, you spray out your apartment, you do whatever, you think you don't have bed bugs, you find out 6 months later bed bugs are back. They're back because they crawl through the baseboards. They go from wall to, you know, they go from apartment to apartment to apartment, and they like to live in wood. They burrow into wood. So usually when an apartment has bed bugs, oh God, it's so hard to get rid of them. But you can take bleach, and you can bleach the corner of your baseboards and that kind of thing, and it helps to get rid of them. You don't have to spray in order to get bed bugs. You just need a lot of elbow grease and a toothbrush and bleach. And you just got to be aware, right? You know, mice, you know, they can chew through things. Now, if you got, like, it's kind of, I would think it would be kind of hard for mice to chew through these gamma lids. But if you got those house rats, okay, you got the mice who are really small, you know, I think it would be very hard for them to chew through these buckets, these little 2-gallon buckets with the nice gamma lids, because the gamma lid is very hard. But if you ended up getting those house rats, they're about the size of a fist, a little smaller. They're a little smaller, okay, and they're black. Those things can chew through buckets, okay, trust me, I know. I moved into a house, landlord said it had no rats, because I asked them, does this house have rats? They said no. I moved in, moved my shit in, I had buckets. 4 days later, I had holes in my buckets, and I had rats in my fucking buckets, okay? Then I had to de-rat my house, and the bloody things were dying in the fucking walls. I was so choked. So choked, you don't even know. So, you know, those house rats, they're a little smaller than your, like, outside rats. You got outside rats that can get really freaking big, and then you get these little black rats that are about that size that definitely can crawl through, chew through lids, and they live in houses, garages and places like that. And then you've got your mice, right? So, you know, right? I'm just saying. And then in apartments, we know older buildings have cockroach problems and those kind of things, right? So a cockroach couldn't crawl into these buckets or chew through these buckets. I don't think a mouse could do it. Right, and for $15 Canadian for these little white buckets with the nice gamma lids is definitely worth the investment. Or if you can find something similar in your local area, by all means buy them. Make it convenient for yourself, and you know, feel good about what you're doing. Okay, right, and then. Don't worry about going to the extreme and going to the doomsday prepping at this point, but keep in mind, the more you build in your food security, yeah, you're going to be looking at this. Now, I know you've got men in your life, and, you know, when men get the bee in their bonnet, you know, they take it to a whole new level. You see, my son never had to put the bee in his bonnet because he's got his mom doing it for him, right? Not saying that my son isn't grateful, but at the end of the day, right, there are men out there that can just take it to a whole new level because they think different than us, right? So I hope that, you know, your family members really just, you know, come together and, you know, just and walk to freedom, okay? You have to build in that walk for yourself. You might lose a few along the way, but at the end of the day, you're going to get through that tunnel, and you're not alone, okay? You're not alone, Shelley, right? So let me get on with filling up these buckets. Blow my nose. Oh, down floor to the ground. Oh yeah. Wonder Cat is a male. Wonder Cat was at the door not because it's homeless. It's because it's chasing after Little Mo. Little Mo is in the process of going into heat. Wonder Cat going around spraying in the house. So Wonder Cat is outside, and it stays outside. It's fucking cats, man. That's what I'm smelling. I hate cat spray. You don't even know. And and little Mo is just running around meowing and rolling around and just being whatever. Like, and I'm like, Andre, don't let that cat out. No, 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 no. She shows up and 3 weeks later she gets pregnant, as if I want kittens, man. So we're trying to keep her in the house and all the other cats out in terms of the male cats that are coming around right now. Yeah, I think Wonder Cat lives over there. Like I mentioned in the comment section, I was going to have Andre go to the neighbors to find out. But either or, the cat can stay outside. And I have to figure out where it's sprayed so I can take some water and some soap and some vinegar and go wipe it down, because I keep smelling it and I can't stand it. Yeah. Oh. Anyway, let me get on with these buckets. I have to do this today. I'll be so glad when this is over, people. You don't even know. It's been a long, I don't even know how many years. I don't know. But no regrets, okay? You see, that's the thing. There are no regrets. Okay, little Mo is going into the height of her heat here. That's where Wonder Cat was laying and sprayed. He sprayed over there somewhere because I can smell it. And he sprayed more than one spot. What a sneaky cat that Wonder Cat was. Did you notice how he wormed his way in, acting like he was homeless? No, he was stalking little Mo. Right, little Mo? She's in heat, but I won't let her go outside. I don't want her to get pregnant. I think this is her first heat because she acts like a teenager. Like she's a young cat. She's not very old, right? Little Mo, what are you doing? What are you doing? The classic symptoms of a cat being in heat. Yeah, no, you're not going outside. You're not allowed to go outside. Okay, Shelley, as you can see what's going on here. Okay. Hold on. Okay. I'm making a coffee. I need a coffee for this, Shelley. Okay, and I'm going to put a disclaimer in this. Alright, we're going to talk a little bit about what I'm doing there in the kitchen with those buckets, with the gamma lids, the Mylar bags, and whatnot. Okay, but before we get into that, I want my coffee, because once I get my coffee, I can just sit here, and I'm just going to talk for a while, because honestly, I'm kind of tired, right, with this food prep, but I'm not going to be doing this in June. You see, that's the thing, and I won't be doing it in July or August or September. I probably won't even be doing it in May. We're only in January. I should have this done by the end of February. In terms of, I'm at my, I don't want to say max, because it's never a max, but I'm definitely at my quota. Okay, let's just put it that way. It's getting to the point where my son is starting to accuse me of being a doomsday prepper. And that's why I put in the title, now I'm a doomsday prepper. But I've decided I'm also going to put a little slash in there and then put a disclaimer, okay? A disclaimer in regards to Julian Johnson's sister, okay? That one that likes to come into my yard randomly and dig up potatoes in the middle of the night with her silver spoon, because she likes to carry knives, more than one. I'm sorry, silver knife. Right? Thinking she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, or being that she wasn't, she figures she should have been, right? Because she's got that entitlement mentality. You can see where we're going to go with this disclaimer here, okay? Because whatever game she's playing and has been playing since my daughter's been murdered, basically by her and her brother, okay? There's the disclaimer, people. For the ones that are jumping onto her bandwagon, looking at Who's New Nations Unity, coming on to my channel, you can listen to her yabbity yab yab wherever she's yabbity yab yabbing, but she's only going to tell you half-truths and a whole bunch of freaking lies to cover her tracks, okay? And this is what this disclaimer is about, is to remind people of that. For the ones that are coming into the story, okay? Not Lucy, not Peggy, not Truth for Reality, not not Shelley, you know, not just not. Okay, not for anybody. There's a few other people in there that, like, you know, been around for a long time and knows the narrative. Okay? I'm not coming in with a video where I'm like, oh, well, since you brought up the subject, Miss Judy Charney, right? I just thought I'd set the record straight and let you know that the reason I didn't give back Shemai's phone after my brother basically manhandled her and ran her out of the house, right, as I was trying to kidnap the baby. Don't forget, people, this is what happened, right? I just decided not to give her back her phone because the night before I gave her $50. I didn't give it to her. I lent it to her so that she can go out and party and buy drugs because she wanted to get high because she just had a baby a week ago under a C-section, an emergency one at that. Just so that I'm not going to be held to account all these years later after the death of my daughter, people. That bitch still has Shemai's phone. Okay? Because she refused to give Shemai back her phone when Shemai said, I'm leaving, give me my baby. Tamika Dixon, no, I'm not giving you back the baby. Shemai saying, give me back my baby. It was a showdown. As Sonia is just watching it going, you go, my daughter. Yeah, I trained you well. Right? Like, this is the freaking bullshit that I've been dealing with all these years. So in the meantime, I'm waiting for my water to boil. Okay? It's going into a disclaimer, Shelley. Right? But before we get into that disclaimer more, I'm going to add in this video, because I am featuring these beautiful, beautiful buckets, something that you don't need to worry about per se in the beginning of going into food prep. Okay, because, you know, one, it can get expensive. Two, it can get frustrating because it starts to pile up, and, you know, sometimes you're not getting the help that you need to put it away, and, you know, instead you're getting criticism, and then you get accused of being a doomsday prepper and just the whole 9 yards. But let me tell you something, okay? I've been doing this for a long time. You know that, Shelley. And I've been purchasing from these online websites that sell in bulk, whether organic or just regular, you know, food. In bulk, that is. I like to go with the in bulk. We know the theory behind that one, right? I think my water's boiling. And I was talking to a fella yesterday because I was having an issue with my order, because it was a big order. It was $650, and I don't know what was going on, but anyway, I had to call the company the next day, and I mean, it was there. Oh, he called up my name as soon as I said, like, you know, I tried to place, oh, Judy. I said, yeah, that's me. Anyway, long story short, they've been in business for about a year now. They're located in Alberta. I told them that I normally deal with organic matters, right? Which would be Essential Organics in the United States. The same company, just, right? And a few other companies that I deal with regularly over the years, that is. And you know, I was telling him it's like hard to find hard white wheat. You can find it in the States, but one, can you even buy it? Because not every company can ship to Canada because there's a lot of paperwork involved. Right? Or if they are shipping from the United States, you know, can you find it in terms of the hard white wheat, which is, in all essence, a specialty wheat, because it has the nutrients of the hard red wheat, which is a whole wheat, but it gives the, you know, the bread rises. It's better than a white. It's better than a white flour. And then you have the added benefits of the whole wheat nutrients. So that's a specialty flour. You want that, right? If you're going to get into your wheats and experiment and, you know, and whatnot. Just like you need to have rye kernels somewhere in your storage, somewhere in your kitchen, so that you can use a bit of that rye to make the sourdough, to make this rye bread, or you can eat rye as a porridge, you can sprout rye. There's lots of things that you can do with rye. It's a completely different kernel with completely different properties, which is good to control or to prevent type like diabetes, right? Like if you don't have diabetes, eat rye. Chances are it will help to prevent it. If you have diabetes, right? I'm not sure if it helps with both types, but if you have diabetes, start introducing rye, real rye, in the kernel, ground it up so it doesn't lose any of its nutrients, and that will help to regulate your blood sugar, okay? And quite possibly even reverse the symptoms of diabetes. Hold on a minute. Okay, Shelley, I know you told me through email that you like hearing me talk to you or about you. So, to my girlfriend on the East Coast of the United States of America. East Coast of America. Okay, so let me just do a Marex moment here, okay? All right? But first, we'll talk about, what do you call that? Food prepping. Let's just stay on that subject for a few minutes. Anyway, okay. So anyway, I was on the phone, right? That's what I was talking about, okay? And because I was having problems with my order. And, I mentioned to the fella, like, I'd never seen his company before, and, with the server going wonkers, like, were they even legit? And, so he goes, yeah, no, we've been in business for a year, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, it's really hard to get hard white wheat here out this way, I guess, in Canada. It seems to be a little more accessible in the United States, but they can't ship it because they don't have that, ability within the federal government. Only certain companies can do that, and it requires a lot of paperwork. Okay, whatever. And it's expensive. $1.40 to the dollar, right? $1.40 Canadian to $1 American. So if you're starting to ship, 55 pounds of hard white wheat, it can get expensive. So anyway, I'm not giving up. I'm still looking on the internet for my hard white wheat, right? And I find a company that has it, and, it's expensive. I thought it was 125 pounds. No, sorry. I thought it was $125 for 25 pounds, but I think it's coming in at $125 at 50 pounds, which is a really good deal, and that's shipping included because I bought a fair amount. My first bill was $5.50. I spent $5.50. So I'm dipping in a little bit into that personal line of credit that I have, people, because I don't want to be doing this in May, June. I don't. So I'm just going to put the last effort in now, to which, puts me in a position of being a doomsday prepper now. But my I was telling this guy, right, that my son, has now dubbed me a doomsday prepper, right? Because, it's been going on for so long, and I've taken it quite serious, and, and just blah, blah, blah. And this guy said, well, one day, trust me, he said, because he orders this stuff in, like, he's a company, right? So he orders thousands of pounds at a time. Okay, people. He said, yeah, you know what? You're doing the right thing. Trust me. He said, your son will thank you. Oh, I said, well, gee, I appreciate that sentiment because, it's good to know from a wholesaler's, like a distributor, from a company that actually deals with these products versus being a consumer. I told him I know what his company is going through because I've been dealing with his type of company, more than one, for quite a few years, and I've seen the changes over the years in terms of some things just aren't available, and if they, go into temporarily out of stock, they just don't ever seem to come back, or it takes a very, very, very long time before you can snag into them again and buy in bulk, right, before they run out, right? Assuming that you can ever find anything again, like corn in the kernel. You can buy popcorn, but you can't buy corn by itself in a kernel. You just can't. You can get corn treats and all that, but if you're not consuming them on a weekly basis, there's no point in buying them. And, for us people below a certain income level, Shelley, It's better for us to invest our money into the chickpeas, into the wheat, into the rye, into the whole oats, because again, you can buy a flaker and you can grind them for yourself as you need them, and your nutrients that are in those little kernels, or whatever you want to call them, are locked in, and as soon as you grind them up or you cook them, they come out much better than anything you could ever buy in a grocery store. Okay? Because as the economy changes, right, people are going to be lacking more and more. One in, you know, like the calories with the nutrient value around it. Okay, just because you can eat a candy bar with a lot of calories in it because of the sugar, which more than likely is just plain white sugar, right, which has zero nutrients, right, you know, compared to a half a cup of groat oats whole, however you decide to serve them, whether you flake them yourself, whether you put them in stuffing, whether you put them in soup, whether you put them in a porridge, however you want to make it, okay? You can make, here's an idea, and this is where you want to have those staples in terms of certain food items, right, that you can use as a base to make other foods with. Like, for example, they had Great Northern beans, which I've already bought in the past. They came from Good to Live or something like that, some company in the States, and they're a really nice bean, and they're versatile, and they don't give off their own flavor when you're cooking them with something. Instead, they absorb the flavor of what you're cooking and just enhance the food in itself, okay? Which makes a good base for other foods. Like, for example, that would be the base of your burger. You don't have meat, or you only have a little bit of meat, well, you start off with some Great Northern beans as your initial base. You can throw in some mashed potato, a little bit of chopped onion, put in some parsley. You can grind up a bit of whole oat, throw that in there, tablespoon or 3, right? And whatever else you want in there, and a little bit of pork sausage all grounded up. Mash it, make your patties, and fry it in your beef tallow. Oh man, that would be so good. So they had, oh jeez, 50 pounds, people, of Great Northern beans, and I bought one bag at $115 for 50 pounds, which again is a good price. And then I got the 2 bags of the hard white wheat, which I think are coming in at 100 pounds for $2.50, which is a good deal. And then after I get that kind of all put away, and I've been working in Auntie Shemay's room, I'm going to do the same order, and then that will be it when it comes to hard white wheat and Great Northern beans. But those are like my chickpeas. They're my go-to for other things, right? Chickpeas are good for making milk. We know that. They make flour to make flatbreads. We know that. They can sprout, so you get that vegetable, organic, whatever. So, right? So that's something that you want in your kitchen, but you want to have access to in your storage area, wherever that may be. When it comes to learning how to store it well, you know, it's just a do it. It's just learn as you go, seriously. And if you're unsatisfied with something after the fact, like me, I'm gonna be backtracking and opening up this, that, whatever, and maybe putting them into Mylar bags, and you know, but then I'll have other buckets. Who knows, right? Depending, right? The bucket itself is more to keep out the rodents. The rodents and I suppose bugs, yeah, but more like a rodent, because like, for example, I have wheat back in the day or whatever it was. Go into my videos, you'll see me brown paper bag, zip, you know, like the food saver bag, take out the air, right, put it in the box, take the whole box down, and right, and so some of those bags, I don't know, they lose their seal, right? So in a situation like that, when I have time, like I'm curious to open them up and see what's going on inside, probably nothing, but you never know, right? You know, if you have a bug in there, well, it's going to be one big happy bug party, right? But I've never had a problem yet with anything that I've had delivered from these companies that I'm aware of, okay? And so, you know, you do what you can do, and as you go, you up your game, right? And then you're going to come to a point where, well, I hope for your sake, Shelley, you have the freedom to do what I've done, so that you can get to that point and feel satisfied, right, in terms of that food security in your house. But with the way that the economy is, I don't know what's going on in the United States. Because some of these banks, well, we got funky banks out here in Canada too. Obviously, I was raging on about CIBC Bank in my last video, right? The one that just gave me that $20,000 personal credit line, that's a different bank, okay? And I basically opened up that account when they medically kidnapped Uncle John, because I wanted to remove myself from CIBC Bank altogether. But because I had been there with them for so long and everything was on lockdown, like Andre's trust account, which requires Uncle John's signature to get $92, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how could I just close my account and let him get away with it, people? So, you know, I've been using Bank of Montreal all these years with the money that I get from Andre, and I pay part of my rent from that, right? Other than that, that's the only thing that I use it for, because it's just a one deposit that comes from the province, because, you know, I look after Andre, and that's the agreement that we made when I became permanent guardian for him after the fact, right? And financially, quote unquote, it's supposed to be better than being on social assistance, quote unquote. So even if I ask them to just get me off that contract and put Andre on my social assistance, everybody in the office is, no, you're going to lose, you know, you're not going to get the most benefit, and, you know, just keep what you have, and I'm like, okay, whatever, if that's what you think, right, you know. I'm not trying to shoot myself in the foot here, but at the same time, you know, like, so anyway, dealing with that for all these years, 7 years, you know, the bank, I don't know, you know, it opened up a whole new horizon, people, and it came at a good time, because, you know, once I'm done doing what I'm doing, that's it. It's going to be a whole different agenda for me, right? I want that for you, Shelley, where you can do that for the next couple, 2, 3, 4 years, because it's going to take a while to build it up. You see, that's the thing. And you can't get discouraged, because you just can't, right? You know, God helps those who help themselves. If you don't put the work in, you don't put the effort in, you don't put the investment in, you don't put up with the fucking, you know, oh my God, this is in my way, and or whatever it is, right? The criticism that you get from it, being accused of being a doomsdayer, prepper and just whatever, or you're excessive or whatever, you know, like, but then you phone up the wholesale companies that actually distributed this stuff, and they're telling you that you're doing the right thing and that your kids will fucking thank you in the end. Because they're the ones having to order in bulk and they themselves can't find it. You see, that's the thing. And I can verify that because I've been doing this for a long time, and the selection is not as wide as it used to be, and most definitely it's creeping up in price. So you hang in there, Shelley. You do what you gotta do. I don't care if it's paper bags and a vacuum sealer. I don't care if it's paint buckets temporarily until you can get food grade buckets. Okay? You understand what I'm saying here? Go get yourself a pressure canner and go buy some jars and sit there with your mom and start canning meat. Okay? Yes, it's nice to have a deep freeze, but you need to can it because shit happens, right? And get yourself a canning book and double check and cross-reference your, you know, canning, okay? Don't assume. Like, you can't can, for example, mashed pumpkin. You can can pumpkin in chunks, 1-inch chunks, but it's not recommended to can it mashed because it gets too condensed and the heat can't travel through it, right? Apparently, it's not recommended to can broccoli, like in terms of a broccoli soup or something like that, or cauliflower, because through the canning process, it all deteriorates and turns into mush. So, like, for example, when I did that pork with that parsnip, I should have taken that parsnip, and honestly, it would have been simple. All I would have had to do was just blanch it for a couple of minutes, take it out, get it in a, you know, strainer, finish my meat, and then as I was filling up my jars with the meat, take that blanched, I guess you could say, 1 or 2 minute boiled parsnip, which wouldn't be cooked at all, right? It would be just whatever, and piece it in between my meat, so by the time it was pressure canned, it would have held its shape, because by putting it in the oven with the meat, what happened was it overcooked and it became a little mushy, but it got all mixed in, and you know, so anyway, it's, you know, just stuff like that, you know, be aware. So, you know, go to a thrift store and, you know, cruise the book section and look for some canning books, and, you know, Google online and just take notes and do stuff like that, right? You know, canning, when I never used to can, and I started, I think, I don't know, it was here in this house with Uncle John. I was scared when I first started. It wasn't anything that I felt comfortable with, that was for sure. And, but after a while, now it's just annoying because, you know, I have to stand there for 90 minutes and watch the gauge. But I prefer the gauge because if I use that little rocker, I don't adjust it properly, so that by the time I open up the canner, the bottom of my canner is practically empty. It has no water in it, just a little teeny weeny bit. And when you're getting into 90 minutes, 100 minutes, or 110 minutes for fish is between 100 and 110 minutes for fish. And if you boil away all the water, oh my God, you know, it's it's a learning process, right? So, I don't know. Okay, maybe I should just get on with the disclaimer here, now that I mentioned it. I'm not going to give this girl too much play, people, but, you know, I don't know. Shelley, you're on the east coast of I'm on the west coast of Canada, and you're on the east coast of the United States of America. There's about 3,000 miles between us, right? And, like, what? And, what do you want? You want something? Tell me. Don't get quiet. Come on. What do you want? Amari! What are you doing? It never fails. You're supposed to be sleeping, as your mother would say. Amari! What are you doing? You're supposed to be sleeping, as your mother would say. Why are you awake? Amari! Never fails. I don't know, he just loves it. I think it makes him think of his mom, because she used to say that all the time. Amari! What are you doing? Yeah, you're supposed to be sleeping, as your mother would say. Okay, back to the disclaimer. That's the whole point, people. Shimei's been dead since April of 2018. And she was murdered, people. Right? And because the cops don't do their jobs out here, because it brings in dead bodies that they can traffic on the black market, it's profitable for them. Right? But for whatever reason, I've got this 27-year-old barren morphodite. Okay? Barren. Can't have kids because it's a morphodite. Okay? Basically. That's in complete denial and likes to fabricate stories like, well, I didn't give back Shimei's phone because she owed me $50 because she wanted to go party and go get high. Yeah, a week after having an emergency C-section. So that she could just leave the baby with my mom and my brother and me and go fuck off and go get high, and she needed $50 to do that. And being that she didn't give me back my $50, I just didn't give her back her phone. Like, this is what I'm dealing with, okay? Do you think it's changed? No. Just like the body is like a morphodite and the womb is barren, there's something going on up there that's not right either, okay? Right? Shelley, I don't know how you can help me with that problem, being that you're located on the east coast of the United States of America, but I just want to set the record straight, okay? For the ones coming in, as she's using my channel's name, New Nations Unity, to draw attention to herself through her video streams, right? Waiting for me to talk about her, and then come back and go, well, she crying, feeling sorry for herself, like it's me, right? Oh, boo-hoo-hoo-hoo. But yet she's the one up on her channel now going on about how her brother got murdered. Well, why don't you talk about why your brother got murdered? You know, don't play no fucking victim here. Oh, my brother got murdered. Well, why don't you tell people why? It wasn't no random fucking, what is that, accident. He was shot on purpose, people. Because the guy was an asshole, okay? He fucked over a lot of people. And not only that, but he was murderous, okay? And Shimei wasn't the first and last person that he was fucking around that he murdered, okay? That's the part bitch doesn't like to talk about. Instead, she, oh, wow. Yeah, who's wowing now? Don't wow me. Right? I mean, what 27 morphodite barren bot goes around stalking a 60-year-old woman with orphan children? Well, that's because her mother eggs her on people. You see, that's the thing. Yeah. Yeah, we know how it works. I was here, okay? I know all about your mother and how she corrupted you a long time ago with that period crap. So if you're just coming into my channel feeling sorry for this morphodite, well, there's two sides to every coin, right? All right. I'm not the one that's stalking her house or her mother's house. She stalks my house. I got money to go buy cameras now if I want to. And have some guy run up there and string them up. But you know, that morphodite would just come and throw something on it just so that she couldn't get caught. That's it. Or her Nathan, her hidden boyfriend. You know, if you know, right? Isn't that how it goes? If you know if you know, right? Yeah, okay. As if. And then, yeah, blasting now Tisha Chorney's name up on, right, with some old video that's 5 years old, if not older. Seriously, right? Of her calling somebody else's child her son. Because she's barren, people. She can't have her own kids. She's 27 years old. When does she plan on having kids? Oh, I know. She's got too many because if that person doesn't over there, that kid over there belongs to the morphodite. And if not, it will be that one over there that is the morphodite's kid. And, you know, she's definitely stalks me and my grandkids and Amari and, you know, thinking that whatever she's thinking. Like I said, the body is messed up. It's obviously barren, right? She can't have her own kids, so she says other people's kids are her kids, as she calls out my kids to get attention from me, now that she's got my attention. And God knows what else she's doing on Instagram or Twitter or whatever she's doing, and I'm like, I don't go on those, I'm not interested, right? Because I already know what I'm dealing with here in terms of the character. You know, she's plumping up. Her legs are rubbing between herself, right? Like, you know how women that are getting big and their thighs rub. Right? Saying, oh, well, I like being chubby. Yeah, well, I don't know how many dancers can be chubby up on stage, okay? What, you're a feature dancer now because you're chubby? Yeah, okay. No, it's because you're on fucking bipolar schizophrenic medication. It's making you fat. That's what it's going on there, okay? As you sit up on YouTube and lie about it and try and distract away like you did with that. Well, I gave Shemaine $50 so she could go get high. Well, she left us, the baby, at home, all by herself with Mummy. Yeah, okay. Mummy as in Sonia. Yeah. And Shemaine gonna run off and go get fucking high. No, you're a fucking thief. You stole Shemaine's phone and you still have it. And you were the one who laced Shemaine's cigarettes when Shemaine took Amari over to go see your mother because your mother was badgering Tisha at the prenatal clinic. Yeah. To have ask Shemaine to bring the baby. And when she did, you guys killed her. That's what you did as a fucking group. Let's get it straight. There's the disclaimer. So if you're coming new into my channel because you like this girl, well, sorry, morphodite. If you're coming new into this channel because you like that morphodite, well, cheers. You see, Shemaine's story is going to get into a legitimate courtroom with a legitimate judge, with a legitimate lawyer, representing Amari, because that judge is going to ask what happened to Shemaine and why she's not here. And the first thing that's going to come out of my lawyer's mouth will be the mother was murdered. And then the whole story is just going to all come out. It's all going to unravel. And that judge will be in a position to order a full investigation. Well, you're still running around on YouTube, trying to project little things that you pick out of my freaking videos as if somehow that makes you intelligent. Yeah, okay. I haven't even told Tisha about your little shenanigans, but you know what? You've done it before, yo. That's the thing. This isn't the first time you've done it. And again, Tisha has a life, something you don't have, right? so she doesn't really care. Tisha Chorney, Tisha Chorney, Tisha Chorney, Tisha, ooh, 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 Tisha Chorney, Tisha Chorney, ooh, ooh, ooh. Wow. Right? Tisha Chorney could be anybody. How many billions of people are there on this planet? A lot. Right? Why don't you tell people how it was your brother who sparred on the death of Howie, the so-called stepbrother to you and Julian? Like the real truth. That Howie ate the dope because your brother wanted him to, because your brother was a fucking coward, couldn't eat his own damn dope, so he pulled it out from between his balls, handed it over to Howie, and told him to fucking eat it, because he didn't want to get caught with it between his legs while the cops were fucking getting everybody out of the car, to search them. And what did Howie do? Who was younger than Julian? Who looked up to Julian? Right? Who did what Julian told him to do. He ate the dope. And then what happened? The bag fucking exploded in his gut and he died. With Julian holding him. Yeah, okay, we know. Why don't you talk about it? If it wasn't for Julian, Howie wouldn't have ate the dope. And that was after Shimei was murdered by you and Julian. You just drugged her with the medical fentanyl by lacing her cigarettes. For the new ones coming to my channel, that is the story. Julian just finished her off. And then stood there and watched after he molested her body. Dead, that is. And the cops covered it up. And then want to proceed running around saying that Amari is the way Amari is because Shimei was doing drugs. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's why they don't want it to go to court, people. Because that's not true. That's why Judge Ross put it on freaking lockdown in one of his silos. Yeah. That's why everybody that encourages this girl to act the way she acts allows her to continue to do it without ever fucking reprimanding her and saying, like, grow the hell up. Because she's just one big distraction away from the truth. The truth that is, and will always be, my daughter was murdered by that family. Point blank. Period! So, to my daughter. Alright, to my daughter. You know who killed Julian. It's all over the streets. Everybody knows. Lots of rumors. But people know. And people know why. And if it wouldn't have been for that reason, there's a whole lot of other fucking reasons it would have happened. He just wasn't some random Joe standing at the gas station. Alright? False identity. No. No. There was a lot of people who didn't like that guy, people. And that didn't like him for a fucking reason. And there was a lot of reasons out there. Right? But of course you're not going to hear any of that, though. No. No, you're not going to hear any of that. Because it's too real.